I haven't used it. I've been living here for about 2 years and I don't have a driver's license. What was the other question about? Sorry. So it was healthcare, it was driver's license. And
I think that was it. You covered everything. Okay. You're very good. But since you're there, I'm going to ask you another question because we've been talking a lot about Portugal now, yeah, and it would be good to understand how easy it is for you to do business here, since you run your business within, with the US market, but you also have to negotiate with wine suppliers in Portugal. How easy it is to do business here compared to the United States?
At the beginning, it's a little bit of an adjustment. So it's basically adjusting to the time zone. It's about 8-hour difference between LA and 5 hours from New York to Portugal, right? And basically, it's I personally love it because I get to do all the things that I need to do during the morning. And at the time that it comes time to work, which here is about 1 p.m. or after lunch, the US is starting. So I'm already ahead of the time. So when I lived in LA, I felt like I was always behind because when I wake up, I have emails from Europe, emails from New York, and I'm like, oh my God. So I felt like I was behind. I'm here in the opposite. I feel like I'm ahead because I'm awake. I get to do my things. I get to go to the gym, my yoga, meditation, all the things that I do that I love. And then I can start my work. And I'm on top of it. So it's just about adjustment. It's all about adjustment.
Yeah.
The only thing is that you end up working late hours, of course, right? Because when here it is 7 p.m. on a Thursday and people are going out or going out for dinner, I'm like, well, it's 3 p.m. in LA, right? I have a meeting, but yeah. It's fine. You just need to compromise. And I honestly enjoyed it a lot. And so far it's doing very good for me. So it's all about basically just adjusting, right? And planning accordingly.
And thank you, Ayessa. That's so true. And I think it's about shifting perceptions about how you work. And it's the life, of everyone that works with international business. You will have to adjust with the time zones. And at the same time, prioritize the time zone that you are in. And enjoy life, and that's one thing that I think the Portuguese do really well. They have this balance, and I like their long lunch hours because it does help you to stop eating in front of your desktop like you normally do, and go and meet friends. And that brings me to my next question: How was it to build a community here? Do you and make friends? Was the language a problem for you?
Luckily, I speak Spanish, so it's a Latin language. So I can understand a lot of it. Not a lot, but at the beginning, it helps for sure. And starting during when the whole world is shut down, obviously it was a little bit challenging, but I took the time for myself. And when the world opened, you start making connections. And it's very interesting because coming from LA, sometimes you can live in a place for 10 years and you don't even know your neighbor, right? Because everybody's in their car or doing their life and everybody's busy. And here is very interesting how you have to really make an effort. You have to adapt. You have to, like you said, change your focus. And you have to make friends. You have to talk to people. And almost like you're open to be more friendly, open to experiences, and more importantly, to adapt. Just basically don't assume anything and just have an open mind, because usually you're pleasantly surprised, right? So at the beginning, obviously, the whole pandemic, I was alone. But then afterwards, it was very easy to meet people. People are very friendly, especially you meet one person and then you go for dinner, you go to another one, next thing you know, everybody knows each other. That's the thing. Porto is very small, so everybody knows each other. And started joining expat communities and pretty good network. So it's very nice. But it just depends on the person. And even sometimes you just need to put yourself out there. Come with an open mind, which is very important, and meet all kinds of people. So it's very cool. I really enjoy it.
Nice. And I think you work in an industry that helps you to create this network of contacts and friends. You end up meeting a lot of very interesting winemakers. So I wanted to ask, for your line of work, what was it about Portuguese wines that you found special enough to send to the USA? And can you explain to our viewers, because a lot of them are from California, so they tend to compare, they have the reference of the Californian wines. So can you explain a bit about the Portuguese wines to our viewers as well?
Absolutely. So my first trip to Portugal was in 2012, and I drove through the Douro Valley, which is a beautiful, magnificent valley that is a wine region. It's one of the oldest ones in the world. I mean, you see beautiful valleys covered in vines, and in the summer it's green vines, and in the fall is this red, feels like almost like the mountain is on fire. Very beautiful. And that really stuck with me, and it made me want to start my business, hence the name Douro Vino, because of the Douro Valley. It's really a magical place. And starting from there, I decided to import the wines. Why? Because Portuguese wines offer great value, price quality ratio, right, that we call it. And they really offer a lot of value. Not just that, but Portugal being a small country, their terroir is completely different. So they create very great wines. From, you're talking about Vino Verde wines to red wines from the Douro, and you have all kinds of different flavors, all kinds of different magnitudes, right? So it's very, very, very good. Also, another thing that I like for the Portuguese wines is that they're all family owned. The ones that I work with, they're family owned wineries that really been devoting themselves from generation to really produce quality wines that highlight the region. It's not just international grapes, but having their indigenous grapes. Portugal has over 350 indigenous grapes. So there's plenty of room to play here, right? And that's the difference that they bring to the United States. It's not the traditional Cabs, Merlots that everybody knows, but it's more indigenous grapes that are very, very interesting, especially for the sums that they're looking for interesting things, right? Everybody's like, don't drink your parents' wine, right? The same thing that many generations have drink, but discover. Portugal, I feel, is about discovery. Discovering new regions, new cuisines, new grapes, and what are the stories? It's all about telling the story, right? And that's what really captivated me. And Portuguese wines are doing great. When I started, there was not a lot of Portuguese wine. And now when I go to wine shops, you see it. And you don't see it at the South America. You see it in actually Europe. Portugal has their own name. So it's very rewarding to see that, very rewarding. You start seeing a lot of restaurants now that are Portuguese based themed. So it's very nice. So it's great. It's great. I love it. And that's another thing also. Being here helps me to establish even more the relationship with my suppliers because I'm here. I get a better understanding of their terroir because I can drive instead of having to fly across the Atlantic, right, to meet with them. So it works very, very well. And now my life is basically between here and the US. Of course, I have to go back and do meetings, presentations, things like that, right? But it's a work balance, and it takes a while to find that balance. But once we have it, it's like that sweet spot that everything flows easily, right? And it just takes about an open mind, in my opinion. Doing what you love and the work balance. That's the one thing that I really, really enjoyed about living in Portugal. It's the work balance that the Portuguese really know how to live, I must say. They really, really, really enjoy it. And I love adapting this lifestyle. I really do. But also working hard, so you just adapt. You just adapt very quickly.
I have two questions. I'd like you to give me two tips. For one, what is the first grape variety that you recommend someone that's coming to Portugal to try? Something that is very rare and unusual to find in the USA. And secondly, what is the biggest tip that you would share with anyone moving to Portugal?
Perfect, great. The first grape, which is my favorite and what really made me fall in love, is port. Portugal has this amazing, very old tawnies and white ports, which I love. I'm a sweet kind of person, so for me it's perfect. And I will say port, to try port. And the thing to know is that they have 1 to like 10, 20, 30, and 40-year ports, but also they have these amazing gems that are 60-year white port, 90-year white port, 100-year tawny. And that, I mean, I have done tastings when people actually cried when they try it, that it changed their life, because it's such an experience trying something like that. So if I was to recommend to try something exquisite that really would be like mind-blowing, I would say try old tawnies and white ports. And if you want to try something more summery, more easy drinking, I will try the Vino Verde. Vino Verde is very bright, low alcohol, and it's perfect for this summer. I mean, it's 90 degrees and you enjoy this sipping by the pool, by the water, just with friends, happy hour. It's a very nice Vino Verde. It's very light. You know, it's very delicious as well. Very bright on the nose. So I will definitely try that. Great. As far as a tip, so you want a tip. I mean, I have a lot of tips, but the one tip that I will say is, honestly, have an open mind and have fun. I mean, things will be different. I feel like in life, there's always, you have to give up something to gain something. There's always a trade-off. And basically, you need to know what's the trade-off that you're willing to do, and just have an open mind and have a good time. Things usually won't go your way, and you can have a lot of plans, you can do your entire research, and something will happen. And my advice is, don't get discouraged. Just embrace it, have fun, enjoy the ride, and have an open mind. Everything usually will flow and will happen. It just takes a little bit of time, but just have fun in the process. That would be my best advice.
So yes, thank you. And now, Georgina, what's the best tip that you can share with anyone doing their research on how to move to Portugal and thinking about a life here?
Yeah, I think be open to have a different experience. As an expat a few times now, I see a lot of people moving and they keep wanting to recreate parts of what they had at home. And then you're kind of killing your own experience. So move here and don't expect anything. You know, come without expectations. Be really clear about the type of life you might be trying to build, but be open as to how that develops. And that it's not going to be what you had at home. Because otherwise, just stay home.
Yeah, of course.
So that's, and really integrate in the community. Learn the language. Get to know local people. Get out of your comfort zone. That's why you moved.
Yeah, of course. Be open to a challenge and embrace. Thank you very much. I have two amazing women with us here today. I will make sure we will share your websites, She Ventures and Dorovino. So it will be there, so for you to have a look and see how you can actually be an entrepreneur here as well in Portugal. And what else? Last but not least, if you guys are still watching us but you haven't subscribed, please do so you can help our video circulate and assist other people who are researching about moving abroad, digital nomadism, and lots of things that we cover monthly here at Global Talks. So thank you and see you soon.